Welcome to My Dyslexic Life. My name is Chacho Taylor. And please subscribe to the channel. Check us out. Get involved. See what we're doing. If you have comments, thoughts, questions, any of those things, subscribe. Leave me your comments. Leave me your questions. Leave me your thoughts. I promise I will answer. I will get to it. We are so excited to be here. We are really, really excited to be here and to be doing this. In the last episode, I talked a little bit about how we ended up here. And now we're here. And I promised you guys a story, and I'm going to tell you a story. For everybody who has been listening to the audio podcasts, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being involved. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. These stories for the next few episodes, they may be repeats for you, but I want to make sure that anyone who's watching us on video has the opportunity to catch up, and I'm not sending them different places to do that, right? So you're going to get it here. You can get it on the audio. However it is, enjoy it, right? Down the road, you're going to get the book. It's going to be awesome. So here we are, and we are super duper excited to be here. I don't know if duper is a word, but we are super duper excited. So anyways, I'm going to start this story. And this is the first story that I ever told as far as my dyslexic life. So I'm going to rewind and pull it all the way back, like way back to 1977. And this is one of the first stories of my life, one of the first moments that I have memory of. And so it goes like this. We were traveling down a really dark road. I mean, really dark, like eerie dark. You could see nothing. As you looked out to one side, just darkness. Look out the other, it's the same thing. The road was dirt. You looked out the back, there were red taillights, and the red taillights made for the dust, and the dust was kind of pink because of that. But then after that, you saw nothing, and as you looked out the front, you could see for a while, but it's not like the headlights today, right? The car my parents had at that point was old at that point. So we're driving down this dirt road. And the interesting thing is that as we're driving down this dirt road, I remember standing on the seat. The whole seat was a couch in the front. And I was standing in the seat between my mom and my dad. And I have my arms wrapped around them. And I was so little that I could stand there. Now, mind you, I wasn't in a car seat or even a seatbelt. I was standing. My dad was driving, smoking a cigarette. My mom was sitting there, smoking a cigarette. And I was in the car with them. No seatbelt, no car seat, driving down a dark dirt road as they smoked cigarettes. So they were great parents. They were awesome. I mean, they loved me. As we're driving, I could kind of see that there was a driveway and then a house, right? But it was dark. And so my dad pulled in, and I was kind of bumpy, so it's kind of bumping you around. You come around, and then they parked, and we both got out of, we all got out of the car. And when we got out of the car, I'm looking around, and one of the things that I remember looking for were dogs, because in New Mexico, people don't chain up their dogs, or they don't put them in, they don't fence their yards. And at that point, just run around. So I remember thinking, like, God, are there any dogs here? And I would reach up for my mom's hand, and she grabbed my hand, and then my dad grabbed her and gave her a kiss right by the car, and I was right there with them, and I remember this. And I remember feeling a little comforted because they obviously were not scared, right? And so we were safe. And so my dad grabs my mom's hand, and I follow my mom follows my dad, and we head towards the house. And so we get to the porch, and my dad knocks on the door. And it's dark, no lights on the porch, nothing like that. And so we're waiting there, and the door opens. And I hear, "Hey, Freddie, hermano, come on in, come on in." So my dad starts to head in. "How have you been? How's it going? This and that." And My dad's like, oh, everything's good, this and that. And Jerry, how are you? And the guy gives her a big hug and kind of holds her. And I'm like, interesting. And my dad kind of, gets her and they go and they say, oh, sit down, sit down. So they sit down at a table. And I go off to this couch. My mom puts me on this couch and I have my little toys. And I remember I'm playing with my toys and I'm looking up and they're talking. I can hear their conversation. And so the guy say, Freddie, so how'd it go? How'd it go? He said, no, it went well. It went real well. And he said, well, let me know, like, you have a sample or what's up? And he's like, we took a sample, but that's some good stuff, And so they said, well, what are we looking at price-wise and this and that? And so they're talking business. And I have this eerie feeling still, like I just don't feel safe, right? I remember the house seemed a little cluttered and smoky, and so the guy says, hey, you guys hold on, and I watch him and he walks to the room, and so my mom and dad are sitting there and they're still talking amongst each other, and everything seems like they're like opportunity, like there's an opportunity, right? Like they're creating this opportunity, something's happening, and they're, like I said, I was a kid, so I get the vibe, but I don't know exactly what's going on. And then he comes back, and when he comes back, he has this chunk of cash in his hand. And he sits down and he says, Freddie, I want to talk to you about something. And he's serious. My dad says, okay, what is that? And he says, I need to tell you I'm in love with your wife. My dad says, what? Looks at my mom. My mom looks at him. Now, the look on my mom's face, she's like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. I have no idea what he's talking about, right? My dad looks at her and he says, look, the guy tells my dad, he like interrupts my dad looking at my mom. Says, hey, she don't know anything about it, but I have $10,000 here and I'll give you this $10,000. All you got to do is disappear and I'll take care of your wife and I'll take care of your son, and that's that. So my dad would do a thing, he'd make a face, or he'd smile, but he'd always, when there was going to be a problem, he'd fix his mustache. So he started doing that, and I knew that was a problem. My mom knew too. And my dad looked at my mom and he said, are you coming or not? And she said, yep, I'm going. My dad stood up, she stood up. My mom said, let's go, Hito. And I popped up off that couch. I knew exactly what to do. Ran right up to my mom, grabbed her hand, and we started walking out that door. My mom was first, I was behind her, and my dad was right behind me. Well, as we're walking out the door, as we're walking towards the door, the guy starts talking trash. Come on, Freddie, it's a lot of money. And he's fanning himself with the stack, right? He's fanning, it's a lot of money, Freddie, it's a lot of money. Come on. $10,000 back then was a chunk. I mean, it's a chunk today, but it was a chunk, especially for them. Like really, they were poor. They didn't have money. So they're walking, and he keeps on saying it, and he's right behind my dad, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, this guy just needs to shut up. We gotta go. My mom's like, come on, Freddie, let's go. My dad's walking out, and he turns around. And then he just swings. And when he swings, he just swings with everything he has. And the guy does not see it coming. He has no idea. He thinks we're going to walk out the door and he's going to talk trash the whole way. Or maybe my dad will even take the money and that'll be that. But that was not the case. He swings. And he catches him right in the mouth. Mouth, nose. Blah! You just see blood go everywhere. And I clench on my mom's hand because I'm like, oh no. And the guy just starts to fall. Well, here's the thing is like, my dad hit him so hard, he knocked him out, and the guy falls and just hits his head on the ground like, boom. And he was already bleeding by the time he hit the ground. And my dad jumps up over him and starts stomping on him with the heel of his boot. And he didn't do it once. He's doing it over and over and over again. And this guy's face is just turning into hamburger meat, and there's blood everywhere. There's blood on me. There's blood on my mom, my dad. Money's scattered everywhere. And my mom is like, Freddie, stop. Freddie, you're going to kill him. He's like, I hope I kill him. And he's doing it over and over again. I'm going to kill you. He tells him, I'm going to kill you. Finally, my mom gets him to stop. And I think my mom didn't stop him. I think at that point, he thought he killed him. So he stopped. He looks at my mom and he says, get the money, get the money, get the money. My mom starts collecting the cash that's spread out everywhere. She's pulling it together, grabbing money. My dad goes into a back room where he had come from with the money earlier, right? By the time my mom has this money scooped up, my dad walks out with more money, a ton of money, drugs, just ready to go. Like he's got the bag, right? And so now they've got everything. He kicks the dude a few more times, who I think and we think is dead at this point, and then we're out the door, and we're now in the car. Backs up the car, leaves. Doesn't peel out. No rush. Gets to the dirt road, turns, boom. We're driving down the road. And my mom is losing it in the car. Freddie, you killed him. Freddie, you killed him. What are we going to do? You killed him. You killed him. My dad looks over and says, Jerry, it's going to be okay. Freddie, but what are we going to do? She's crying. My mom's losing it. Like, she thinks she just saw a murder. And it was my dad. So now he's going to go to prison, or who knows what's going to happen, and this and that. They stole all this money. They stole all this drug. Like, she's losing it. And he's just chill. Jerry, it's going to be fine. She's still crying. I tell Mom, put my hand on her. Dad said it's going to be fine. We continue to drive. Now, here's the funny thing is I like to tell you, like, we never heard from him again or whatever it was, but he didn't die. He did not die that night. He actually survived. Went to the hospital, and he got better. His name was Joe Coca. And obviously my parents and him were in business together selling drugs or starting a business, whatever it was. So Joe Coca lived. Joe Coca went back home. Joe Coca saw that he got robbed, all these things. And he slowly started to build his stuff up enough to where he was moving enough heroin that he had a few people around him. And he found some guys that were willing to kill my dad for a little bit of heroin. And so he had them over, and he had the gun ready to go. He said, here's the gun, no problem. Do the job, get rid of the gun. They're like, cool, give us our stuff. And he's like, well, you'll get your stuff when you're done. Now, here's the thing about a heroin addict. When they're hurting, right? That golden arm is expensive, and when it wants what it wants, it wants what it wants. So when he said, you'll get it after you do the job, they didn't like that. I told him a few more times, hey man, give it to us now, we'll get the job done. No, you think I'm going to trust the Tecato? You think I'm going to trust you? No, get the job done. Make the hit. When it's done, I'll go ahead and get you what you need. But they killed him. They killed him with the exact same gun he had given them to kill my dad. And then they took their drugs. They got caught later. Whatever it was, however that happened. But they did do it. And nothing ever came back to my dad. So that's the story, man. That's story number one. That's actually the first thing I remember about being a kid. And yeah, that's it. So check it out. My Dyslexic Life on YouTube. That's who we are. If you get a chance, or if you enjoy this, if you enjoy these stories, if you like what we're doing here, go ahead and click the button below so that you can then start to follow us, right? And you can know when the next episodes are coming. We're going to have a good time here. We're going to tell these stories. We're going to talk about life. We're going to do these things. And we want you to be a part of it. So that's that.